Welcome, this is Carrie Schell from On Point Quilter. For day 22 in the Advent Calendar Quilt Challenge, the challenge was to read the Christmas story. And for this challenge, I decided to create a nativity block. I thought I would start by showing you my ending block. And when I decided to create this particular block, I picked 3 different things to include. I decided I wanted the manger with the baby Jesus, I wanted a shed, and I wanted a star. And so I needed to figure out a way to incorporate all 3 items. I also decided that I wanted to make this paper piecing friendly. So anyway, this was my ending block, and I did quite a few iterations until I got to that, but I'm going to share with you how you can also create this block using Electric Quilt. So I have my Advent activity calendar open, and I'm going to select a new block, pieced, and I'm going to do an EasyDraw block. The easiest way to design this block is to use the following items in the Precision toolbar. A block width and height of 6 by 6, snaps of 48 by 48, graph paper cells, and turn these on set at 24 by 24. And the only snapping option is snap to grid. So the first thing I decided was important was to place the star. And for the star, I wanted a square space. So to do that, I drew a line at 3 inches, and that's the horizontal line. And then I drew vertical lines for the upper half of the block. So I drew one at 2 inches and another one at 5 inches. Then I drew 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines to split that center square into a 9 patch. So now I'm going to draw the friendship star by just adding 4 lines that are at 45-degree angles. So this is the first part, and I'm going to go ahead and add this to the project sketchbook. Now I will draw the shed. I am going to start at 2 1/4 inch on the left side of the block, and I'm going to draw a line to the 3 inch on the top ruler. Then I'm going to go down 2 graph paper cells, and I'm going to draw another line, and that's going to be 2 graph paper cells down as well. And then I decided, since this is a little bit asymmetrical, I'm going to now draw the rooftop on the right side. So I'm going to start at the 4 inch on the top. And for this one, I'm going to go to the 2 inch horizontal mark on the right. And I like this because it intersects with my star block. And then I'm just going to go over 2 graph paper cells and draw the other side of the roof. And then I'm going to draw a line at 3/8 inch going across. So then for the sides, I went in a 1/4 inch from both sides. And then from there, I went over 1 1/2 grid points to create the left and the right side of the hut. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to the color tab. Oops, I missed part of a line, so I'm going to go back to the draw tab and fix that. Now when I went to the color tab and back to the draw, that bisected all of my lines that intersected. And so now I'm going to take the pick tool and I'm going to get rid of a few extra lines, and I'm going to zoom in on that top part where the star and the shed overlap. And I'm going to delete these 2 horizontal lines that were part of the star block, and I'm going to delete this line as well. Now let me just fit to work table And I'm going to select Print and Export, followed by Foundation, to take a look and see if this is working the way I wanted. Now, one thing I noticed on the left section is that I could get rid of a couple of lines and actually streamline piecing that particular group and making it one section rather than three. So back to the Draw tab. With the Pick tool, select those extra line segments and select Delete. And I'm going to add this to the project sketchbook. Now I am ready to work on the manger. And so I'm going to zoom in on the bottom part of the block. And I'm going to be working between the sides of the shed. So I'm going to first draw a line that is 2 graph paper cells down. And then for my next line, I'm going to draw one that is 1 graph paper cell down. The next section will be another 2 graph paper cells. And then I'm going to go down 4 graph paper cells. And this essentially is going to be the 4 sections of the manger. I will start with the crib part of the manger, which is going to start at 2 1/4 inches. And I will draw a 45-degree angle going over 4 graph paper cells and up 4 graph paper cells. Now I know I need a mirror image on the other side, so the easiest way to do that is select it with the Pick tool, and under Advanced Symmetry I'm going to do a clone and flip left to right. And I'm going to match that up with the 4-inch, and it should snap into position because I still have Snap to Grid on. Now for the hay, I decided to go down just 1 graph paper cell. Now for the legs of the manger, I'm going to start where I finished that trough, and I'm going to go over 2 graph paper cells. And I'm going to make the manger legs basically 1 graph paper cell over. And so I can repeat that on the other side of that bottom section. To create the baby swaddling clothes, I'm going to start at the 1 1/2 inch mark on the top ruler and go up and over 2 graph paper cells. And on the right side, I need to start at 4 1/2 inches, and I will create that same 45-degree angle. Now for the head, I'm going over and starting at the 4 3/4, and I'm going to go up 2 over 1. Now for the hay, I'm going to go over 1 graph paper cell, and this is not a snap point, but I can draw a line basically up 1 graph paper cell and over 2. Now that extra piece will be cut off when I go to the Color tab. And on the right side, I'm going to start at the 1 inch, and I'm going to go up 1 graph paper cell and over 3. For the top of the baby's head, I will round things off a bit, still snapping to snap points. So let me go ahead, and now I can go to the Color tab and I can color my block. So once I have it colored, I'm going to go to Print and Export, and I'm going to select Foundation. I did have to break this particular segment into 2 different foundations, but it is still a very foundation-friendly block. And now I could do a preview, but under my options, I'm going to change it to the 4x4, which will be the size of the block, and do a preview. And so I could now print this. Thanks so much for watching. You may have noticed that my final picture was a little bit different than what I drafted in the video. And I do find that's the nature of drafting foundation blocks. Every time I do it, I find a few things that I do just a little bit differently. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my weekly newsletter at www.onpointquilter.com to receive additional tips and techniques for using Electric Quilt.